Welcome back to the old world of Oz. It's your host ASB with, of course, Gomo, Starkey, and we've got a special guest this evening. A man that probably doesn't need an introduction, even internationally. World-renowned. He's played in a couple of ETCs. Did you ever win a Masters, Rick?
Never did win a Masters. No, I never managed that one.
Played in a few, though.
Yeah, a couple.
Yeah, nice. So we've got Nick Hohen joining us this evening as well of Dwellers fame.
We literally stole him from the Dwellers, as in he had to leave early.
Yeah, if you watch the most recent Dwellers app, which will come out after this because this is live streamed and I have to edit the other one, you can watch it and you'll see me disappear from that one and then I'll appear on this one and I'm wearing the same clothes, the same room, the same headphones on.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining this evening, and obviously, Gomo, Starkey, good to be here again for our episode 3.
Yes.
Good to see you guys.
We've actually committed to our monthly update for the community on the competitive scene. It's our first time going live, so I shouldn't just say the competitive scene. I should more just say I think the community in general here in Australia, but in particular, we obviously. Have organised the rankings, Masters. We're also now excitingly looking at WTC as well. So I think tonight we're going to go through the usual, which is going to be an update. And there's been a fair bit of movement. There's been a fair number of tournaments since Christmas, and one big one in particular being CanCon, which has caused. I don't know if you've got exactly the number, but I reckon there was 10 players that jumped into the top 20 and 10 that jumped out of or dropped out of the top 20.
Yeah, I'd say so. And yes, unfortunately, I don't have the little red and green arrows yet, but that is coming. So we'll be able to tell, how often that happens. But yeah, I think you're right.
Good work, Dummer.
Yeah, I tumbled down to 6th myself. Lost 3 places after a dismal showing at Uprising.
You didn't have a great weekend down there, did you, mate?
No. Yeah, that was actually the first 2 losses for the Empire. It wasn't. I lost my first
at some point, surely. But yeah.
I think it was bound to happen eventually. I had a good matchup in terms of the list, but it was the table was pretty rough for. I think it definitely played it. But to be fair, I didn't make any mistakes in that game. That one was one of those Warhammer moments where there was a couple by rolling ones to hit and wound with cannons and dragon bows that left 2 Pegasus units on 1 wound each, where they flew away and I got no points for them. There was my general charging a unit of 7 Knights of the Realm that didn't have a champion because he died in a challenge early against some demigryphs. He bounced. He saved 7 out of 8. It was either 7 out of 8 or 8 out of 9 wounds. I think 2 of them with 6 up armor, and the rest were 5 up armor and 5 up wards. My general would have run off the table. I would have got those points. He then got my general as a result. So just off that, I probably would have won the game because I could have flown my general away from that point, taking a small win. And away I went. My demis charged 8 Knights of the Realm and bounced. I don't know if I actually did a wound, and he killed a demi. He was able to countercharge, but yeah, he killed a demi. That's how he. Sorry, I did kill one. I killed his champion. That's right, in the challenge. That's why the champion was there. I also failed to cast the summoning 2 turns in a row with a free cast on his level 4 prophetess, who was worth 280 points or something. So it was one of the. I'm not going to sit here and blame dice. I think I played it.
So what were you just doing?
Yeah, I'm not going to blame the dice. I could have had contingencies in place and I didn't. So they were those types of moments where if it had gone my way, different game. But I didn't play it to a perfect level of okay, I've got contingencies in place. So if this does go wrong, then I don't lose. So but
we've all been there, right?
Yeah, 100%. And then game 5, I made a big mistake. I broke my golden rule, which is don't charge the halberds in if they're not juiced up. And I looked at this. What are they called? I looked at a Gorgon and I went, he's got 4 wounds left. Thinking in my head he was toughness 5. Again, my first mistake, not asking what toughness he was. And going, I've got reroll ones to hit and wound. I'll be able to go 8 or 9 wide, and I've got the warrior priest there, he's strength 6. And I also had +1 toughness, forgetting, of course, he's strength 6 as well. I'm not asking. Deciding to charge the halberds instead of trying to cast State of Shadows and flying over him and then being behind him. And yeah, if I'd done that, I probably would have been a different game. Even if I'd failed the cast, I could have actually just moved back and then fled the charge and then counter charge with demis. And yeah, so it was just a couple of mistakes that I made. That's probably a good thing to remake, I think, sometimes, just to brush up and sharpen. And I've changed my list a little bit, but yeah, I managed to get 3 wins, game 2, 3, and 4. But yeah, those two, the last one in particular, I was disappointed with how I played. But yeah, it happens.
Yeah. Not too bad. Yeah. How's everyone else?
My tournament went well. Yeah, my one up in Kingaroy. And we had a good showing. It was 24, but 2 had to drop out on the day, so that was 22. And yeah, had a good bunch of guys up there. I managed to come first somehow. I decided I'd take a dragon, so finally caved in.
The dragon is the somehow.
What do you mean caved? You took a dragon in your second tournament too.
No.
Yes, you did.
The Dark Elf Dragon's not a Chaos Dragon. With a wizard on it. Yeah.
With a wizard on it.
Yeah. Yeah, so the Chaos Army went really well.
You took the big one. You took the 627 pointer.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a big one.
Yeah, first game I was up against 2 caskets. I tell you what, just getting the first turn of every game and using Arcane Urgency with the dragon, just really good. It's just really good.
Playing old world on easy mode, mate.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that playing?
Yeah. Just survived the caskets against my first game against the Beastmen. That was my first ever Beastman matchup, and I just played it how I would have played any other game. I knew that spell was a bit nasty, but yeah, got away with that, and yeah, that game was over in 3 turns. I think he didn't have a unit left on the board, and he hadn't killed any of my units. Yeah, just went nuts. That was game 3. Somehow I lost the second game a little bit. I lost versus the 5 pillars. Just a small loss, and because I still got some of the objectives and missed out on playing Goody in round 3, and Goody trundles over to me. I got the win. I was like, this win. It was good. Yeah, so got first. Had a good day. Yeah.
It wasn't rigged at all.
How'd yours go, Connor?
Well, I finally played like I know what I'm doing, even though I don't. So yeah, I played. What was that? What was it called? Oldhammer SummerSlam?
Nomadic War. Yeah.
No, it wasn't Nomadic. No, I got wussed out of that. I had a practice game, and I don't think it had any standing power for those objectives sitting around, like holding banners and stuff. And I only had chariots, and I don't know. Anyway, so I wussed out, went just Orc and Goblin. What it's called, the Grand Army, and
a bit of a challenge.
Basically, just replaced the core with Knight, Goblin, Poison, Archers, basically from Goblin Chariots. That was really the main difference when you look at it. Except your ball boys are a little bit less punchy, but I got 3 wins on that one, so I was pretty happy. And then technically came third. I actually have a medal, which is good because Adam Cesperes, or whatever his name is, didn't have painted army, and so their policies you can't podium with a non-painted army. So he came first, but didn't get a medal. So basically everyone. So technically I came 4th, but came 3rd. So I'll take that, at least for my first sort of halfway decent result.
I guess that's technically what CanCon did with the plus 20 points if you painted your army. Is that technically what that was?
Yeah, well, I think Ryan Kerr was 3rd on battle points and dropped into the lower 20s.
All the way down to like the 20s or something. Yeah.
He was trying to take my Chaos Army, and I said, just take Nomadic War again. You've been playing them for months now. Just take them. And like, you got to paint these models, though. Get them painted so you can listen. Yeah. He ran out of time. But he did well with it. Kudos
Yeah.
to him.
That was frustrating, actually, that result, because I don't know what happened again with this old world ranking. It doesn't sync exactly right when weird shit like that happens sometimes. I have to look into it. And so I had to manually move everyone around, which is very annoying because he fell so far down the rankings, everyone like shifted.
Yeah,
around,
because
so.
you can display the result as in the
on the
battle point results, or you can there's a button you can click that
it's called
says
overall results or something.
overall result, and so
But
that's when you
I
add
don't know
in
how to
soft
get that.
scores. Yeah, okay.
I don't know how to get that out of the there. I'll have to have a dig around. It's not technically an API, so I guess anyway, that's technical. I'll have to dig around and work out how to do. That's the first time I've seen a BCP thing with that. So obviously it's up to the tournament organisers to run it that way, is it? Like with the soft scores. Yeah.
Yeah, must be.
Cool. Awesome.
So I guess there's a couple of things we mentioned we're gonna chat about tonight. Do you want to go through the? Actually, we'll finish with the top 20 and sort of the movers and shakers. But I think it's probably one of the first things we want to talk about is we have a very, very last minute WTC captain vote for Australia. We've currently got 2 people that have been nominated. One of them may not actually be able to play, and one of them, which is Akhtar Khan, who needs probably no introduction. He's played at 15 ETCs and captain, I think, like 8 or 9 or even 10 of them.
Captain all 4 that I went to.
Yeah. So he's nominated, but he's just trying to confirm if he actually is available for the nomination. Jamie Payne is another. Again, very experienced. I think you played with him at least 1 or 2, didn't you, mate?
Yeah, played with him a couple. Also stayed with him at the Cancon in that same accommodation.
So yeah, he's also potentially putting his hand up and has been nominated. We haven't had any other nominations. To be honest, I think if we don't get a captain, we might have to just say to them, look, guys, sorry, with this late notice being that we're not in Europe and we're on the other side of the world, we might have to pass this year and look next year and try and maybe get a captain in place now for the following year and start to develop a core group of players that that do want to play. So I think that's probably going to be where we look at. So if there's anyone out there that's watching this right now, or you're watching it recorded and you're in Australia, or if you're Chris Cousins and you want to put your hand up and captain from overseas,
I tried that. I tapped him up this morning. Apparently.
Oh, okay. There you go, trader.
That's what I said.
So yeah, that's probably the first thing is WTC. So if we are ever get a captain in place, I think Gunay down in I don't know if you have to be Australian to be the captain. That's the only thing. But because he is German, so he'll definitely be able to play in the team. But he also is someone he's very keen to go. There's a few people I think that are keen to go and can go. So it might even be, maybe we even do co-captains, or it could be, do we get Akhtar as, if he's not able to go, or Jamie if they're not able to go, to almost be like consultant mentor types to co-captains. That's also an option. So, we're definitely not bowing out of it. We'd like to send a team. That's kind of where we're at with WTC. So if you are interested, guys, in the WTC, definitely put your hand up and have a look at the post. Get in touch with myself. If
you're on the fence, and I know conceptually, and I had this same thought process. Conceptually, it's like, who flies to the other side of the world to play a Warhammer event? Really? Really? And I had that same thought, and I did it the first time in 2011 was my first one. 2012, Poland, and I was like, this is a once. I'm just going to do it once ever. Just a bit of a YOLO. I was in uni. And it was genuinely one of the best weekends of my life. And I was just like, all right, we're doing that again. And I did 4 in a row. And it's an unbelievable weekend. The relationships, the friends you make. I've got friends all over Europe and the UK that I know through the ETC. And it genuinely, the ETC in 2015 was absolutely in the top 3 weeks of my life. It was just absolutely insane. We're in Prague. We were partying. We had a week-long boot camp beforehand in Germany where we just played Warhammer 24 hours a day for 6 days. It was absolutely amazing. So if you're ever on the fence, thinking, is it really worth going overseas? Do it. It's so good.
I think I would.
You guys
probably,
used to do some pretty good ETC coverage back then, too. I remember, I don't know if it was you guys, but just listening to the build-up at ETC and all the different podcasts that were popping out at the time. It was awesome to listen to.
I think I'd probably also just add that, being that I have never been want to, but now with little ones, I've got a 1-year-old and another one on the way. It's probably now, in the back burner for at least, I'd say at a minimum. Oh, it depends if I can take the family with me, or maybe it's once the kid's a little bit older, we can leave them at home with my, with the grandparents, and I take the missus as well, and that type of trip. But I'd say for me now, it's probably 6 or 7 years away, so at least. Yeah. So I would say to anyone that is on the fence, to Nick's point, and is either thinking about having kids in the next couple of years, I would definitely advise to probably do it beforehand. I had the opportunity to go and be a coach for the not last year's 9th age, but the year before. Maybe it was last year's, and I didn't end up taking it up. It is a slight regret. It was also in Amsterdam, which would have been pretty wild. And if I'd known that I was going to be a dad now, I probably would have done it in hindsight. So yeah, it's
although just for you, ASB, Danny Paints said, "Congrats on the second child, mate." By the way.
Thanks, mate. Thank you. So I thought just to before we throw over to Nick for probably the main reason he's here to chat, which aligns with this. I also thought I would just mention, guys, we've now established a national committee. I've been pretty vocal about wanting to really create like a non-boys club, I guess, approach to Masters rankings, etc., assisting with tournaments, also helping to bring people into the hobby and really make it a fun place for everyone, and welcoming. So we've put a committee in place. The idea of this is to have at least one representative from every state and territory except for the Northern Territory, because there's only like 8 guys playing and they don't play tournaments. I have been in contact with one person there. He's like, mate, I don't really think there's much point in having any representative from the NT, but they were given the option. So there's at least one rep from every state. So I just thought I'd read those names out. So if you know them, they're meant to be your sort of voice in that committee that talks about, and there are certain votes that will just be done in the committee. There will be a lot of votes though that will go out to the community, and we probably will be pushing more so for that approach. So if you're now, I don't know every single person's state. I think, and we'll try and name them. Some people here might know them and go, actually, they're in this state. So I believe Adam Wonderly is in Canberra, but he might also be in New South Wales.
He's Dubbo. He lives in Dubbo.
So New South Wales. Okay, cool. I think Ak needs no introduction. He's obviously Sydney, so New South Wales. Myself, I'm Queensland, but I can also put myself into South Australia. Gomo, obviously you're in it yourself. You're in New South Wales, but Newcastle for anyone in Newey. Starkey, you're Queensland, but also Kingaroy. We've got Feud Owner. I think he's Melbourne, but I'm not 100%. We've got Gunay Yildiz. He's down in SA. We've got Michael Ockert. I don't actually know what state Mike's from.
So he runs the Old Hammer. So he's Blacktown.
Cool. So Western Sydney. So New South Wales. Mitchell Byrne is from WA. He's actually been on Old World Fanatics. So is he Perth or Freo or
wherever? I don't know. I should know. Should know. I can't remember. Wherever his store is, he's where his store is, but I don't know where that is.
But he's running a lot of events. He's also been running some team events over there. So it's good to have him involved. Nathan Goodchild, Queensland. Nathan Lovell, Tasmania. Nick, yourself, obviously Melbourne, Victoria. Then we've got Nick Rochow from SA. Also, he's based in the Barossa, though. Ryan Schmidt is Queensland. Then we've got Tamphew Reese Bobsicle, also Victoria/Melbourne. And then Trav Cram, who is Queensland. So that is everyone. If there's anyone else that, and you go, actually, I want to be involved in this sounds cool, please reach out to me. People can come and go as they please. This really is, it's a volunteer position. It's mainly administrative, and it's to really help grow and try and foster a community that's, I think we can all hopefully be proud of and is really inclusive, and also helps to mentor TOs and the like. So that's really the purpose of it. I might just throw over to you, Nick, now just to talk through, I guess, because it does align to WTC stuff.
Yeah, so I thought I would avail myself of your podcast rather than just my own, because we're running an event, and it's like the Dwellers, like as a group, we've sort of run events in most games that we've played, and we always try and sort of really push them as a big and sort of premium event. So I'm going to try and share my screen. Hopefully this works. Hopefully it works better than when I did it in the Dwellers cast, because that didn't work well at all. Gommo, you might need to throw me up.
Do I need to boot it up there? Yeah.
There we go. That looks better.
I love
This
that.
looks so much better. Should have practiced it on your podcast and perfected it for my own. So we are running at the Dwellers.
Oh, it's on my birthday.
Snake
I'm not
Island.
here. Damn.
And it is, funnily enough, a Warhammer Old World event, but it is more importantly a teams event. So
Nice.
we thought Teams Warhammer is the best kind of Warhammer you can play. It makes for the best weekends. So we thought, let's do a teams event and make it as big as we can. So we're in an absolutely stunning venue at the Gaming Arena in Melbourne. It's like 10 minutes from the airport in Melbourne for anyone coming in from interstate. Super convenient. It's like it fits 100 people. The tables are like these premium custom built boards that they've got, like tables they've got, so they're a pretty decent height. So you can just sort of stand at the table and sort of breast height.
Not put your back out.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Like, and it's the little things, like there's cup holders built into the tables, and
Wow.
they do table service. They've got a bar on site, and it's just like it's a stunning event. They've got a PA system. It's just built for running. And literally, it's the Gaming Arena. It's built for running tabletop gaming events, and it's so close to the airport. We thought it's perfect. So, in true Dwellers tradition, we've named it after a Nicolas Cage film. There was some consternation as to whether we would call it Rumblefish, but Danny was very much pushing the Rumblefish, as you can see in the chat. And Danny's Danny and the rest of the Dwellers crew are helping run the event, so it's going to be a real team effort. So we're going to have a bunch of TOs, and it's just about making it the absolute best weekend that we can. We're looking at doing like an old world trivia event at the venue on the Saturday night, so we'll cater food. We'll bring food into the venue. We'll do like a trivia. Danny's going to run that. He's a kind of funny guy, at least he thinks he is. So if you're free, 14, 15 June, get some mates together, come down to Melbourne. It's going to be massive.
What
That's
size?
good. So what size and what size of the teams? Is it 5 or is it?
We're looking at teams of 4, but we're going to
Okay.
do teams of 3 because we want it to be, certainly for this first iteration, as accessible as possible. And we don't want people to be, missing out on the event because they the community is still in its infancy a little bit, and we don't want people to go, I've got 2 mates together, but we couldn't quite get that 4th one. And we'll absolutely, if you've got one person who you're mates with and you want to come down, we'll find you a teammate. We'll plug gaps in your teams or anything like that. If you can't quite get 3 together, long term we'd probably move it to 4, but it'll be teams of 3, and it'll be very much as possible aligned with how the World Team Championships organises their pairings and their lists and stuff like that. So, and that's one of the coolest things about team events is you can do. It'll be 3 teams, but teams of 3, but you won't get to duplicate your army. So you can't have 2 Orc and Goblin armies. You can't have 2 Dwarf armies in your team. But more than that, we'll do things like magic items will be unique. So there'll be 1 Ogre Blade per team. There'll be 1 War Familiar per team.
Oh wow! Okay, cool. I didn't realize it went to that as well. I thought it was just the army. Excellent.
Yeah, I don't
That's
know
cool.
I don't know if that's something WTC will do, but I think that's a really a cool
Oh,
thing
I love that.
to
Yeah,
do.
especially if
I like
it's
that.
3. Yeah, that's not too punishing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if it was a team of 8 and you can only take 1 ogre blade, that's probably that's a bit of a
tough.
trouble. But
That's really leaning into.
I like it because
the
it's
faction
like
specific.
you're actually having to build your lists as a team, not just
oh yeah, 100%. Uh-oh.
in a way. Like I know it's not that like, but there is some thought that needs to be done.
And we'll probably even do something like, what are we, 3 players? We'll probably do like a maximum of like 8 levels of magic for the whole team.
Ooh.
So then you got to think about, if I want a level 4 in this, or do I do 2 level 3s and level 2, or how do you do that? So I really want to encourage that collaborative list building as a team.
Yeah.
It comes from, I played like Team Magic the Gathering events where it's like you get you get 4 copies of every card per team, and you've got 3 or 4 players in your team. So you've really got to make sure your lists don't all want the same thing.
Oh yeah, man, this is actually awesome, Tom. This is news to me. Cause I'm chatting. I mean, you probably heard talking about it on the other pod, but trying to get maybe a Battle of the Vines up and running, and we're going to do a 1-day but we're going to do teams, and we just literally started talking yesterday to do 3-man teams, so it's perfect. I might just thieve whatever you end up doing for your pack, because that sounds awesome. Would you do? How does the pairing work? Is it's like going to basically the same? You put up one on a, and then the other teams will pick 2.
Yeah, so with a team of 3 is each team will pick like a defender. And so you'll have your 3 armies in front of you. You'll pick your defender blind. So the other team will pick one. So both teams will put out an army essentially as the blocker, and then the other 2 armies that you've left in hand will go against that blocker. So there's a real meta game to being like, what do we think they're going to put out? So then we think, well, if they're going to put out their dwarf army, we've got this army that's decent against the dwarf, or this army's really bad against the dwarf. So if we have one army that's, say the warriors are really bad against the dwarves, they don't want to get gunlined off the board. We could take a risk, and we could run the warriors out as our blocker, because we know they're probably going to run the dwarves out as their defender. So there's a real meta game to it, and then basically the defending army gets the choice of the 2 other ones, and then the 2 that essentially aren't selected go into the third.
Play each other. Yeah. No, I like that. That's cool.
It's essentially just a slight change on the system that the ETC uses, which is very similar. You put 1 out, then you put 2 out against it. The person who went out first chooses, and then they sort of go back.
And then you go back and do it again until one are left each.
It gets complicated with 8. It's a bit simpler with 3 per team. It gets complicated with 8.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I like your list restrictions. I reckon it'll make a rock, paper, scissors kind of thing going on. Yeah.
We almost go like, do you want one list to be one of those Brett exiles with no magic? And then you go, okay, in 2 other lists, and then that's really cool. Actually, that's I don't know if I'll be able to make it work, but I'll see what I can do. But that's.
Come on now, bring your mates.
You mean you don't know if you can make those dates? Is that what you mean, ASB? Not measuring.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought
if I want to go to Castle Assault, obviously, if I think I'll qualify for Masters, and
you sort of run out of weekends.
It's a tough one to find that time slot, because we've got a 2-day here in early May. And I wanted to get as far away from Castle as well, because Castle, I understand, in August, right?
Yeah.
And so I wanted to get away from Castle, but I also needed to get away from. That one, but only 2-day otherwise in Victoria. So hopefully I found a slot that people can do, but if not, then I guess I'll never run an event again.
It is nice to know that it's actually hard to pick a weekend, because it's 1 year in, and we're actually I was saying this the other day, and I don't know if I'm just rose-colored glasses or not, but I don't remember this many 1-dayers in 8th. Do you know what I mean? 8th there was a lot of big 2-dayers, the big ones, and then you had good games and shit running these little 1-days. But it feels like there's also a lot of really solid 1-dayers now popping up. They're not just a store running it, and then you add that with the 2-dayers that are starting to pop up as well. And then now team ones that Owen's starting. There's actually a lot of variety coming out.
It's starting to feel like
year in
7th edition again, when there was events running, 3 events running in the same, 3 different states, every weekend. It's cool. It's interesting what you were saying actually just there, mate, on the Battle of the Vines stuff. So obviously, I went to Uprising instead of CanCon on the weekend, and it was actually pretty fun. And I think next year the goal is to get to 40 players, and I think just because of the free accommodation and the family, being able to take the family with me, it makes it a lot easier than going to CanCon. Even though I've never actually been to CanCon, it is on the bucket list. But something that I floated, I was like, okay, well, in order to attract some guys down, what about you? My uncle actually owns a wine tour business, so he's got two 7-seater Mercedes vans that so he does sort of more your upmarket, not the 20s and early mid 20s where you go and try and drink as much cheap Pinot as you can, but yeah, sort of a bit more upmarket style wine tours. And I think, you were talking with Patty and Alex from the 2 Plus podcast about that sort of the demographic of players. And I was like, I wonder if I organise on the 26th. I won't, just because I don't want to offend anyone. I'm not going to name the day. But on the 26th of January, which is usually a public holiday, like organise a wine tour. And if there's guys that fly down with their partners, I could get my uncle to get both his vans going. And then, maybe that gets an extra 5 or 6 guys in, and they bring their partners and they go on a nice wine tour to the Barossa on the day after the event to unwind.
We've joked about, like, if we do Battle and Vines, it's just the Hunter Valley. So yeah, we do one around all the major vineyard areas in Australia. That'd be funny.
Yeah, well, that was on the big cast we talked about. Yeah, do a series, and I was like, I'd do that happily.
It's a little like, I'm just selfish here because now my kids are older. I'm like, let's do all that. But then the reality is, we've got a mix here. There's people who just like you said, you're just having your seconds. So
you got 5.
We need. Mate, what?
Starkey got 5 or 4.
I got 4. 4.
Yeah.
God, I thought you were talking about him.
I was like, do I? What the hell?
You lose count after the third.
Yeah.
That's
awesome. Cool. Man, that is. This is good. The only problem is for me, I can't. That's my birthday, and I'm not in the country, so that's annoying. But I'm sure I'm sure Josh and stuff down in Melbourne will bring a team. That'll be cool. So, Starkey,
hopefully you get some. I don't go interstate too much. Like I just said, I got 4 kids, and they all want to come.
And you run your tournaments from your house. So Do you even get to a Brisbane tournament, or you just?
Oh, I go to them all the time. Okay. That's just,
I reckon Goodchild will be keen for this one. So,
yeah.
Well, who's going?
I'm going.
I'm going.
And I've booked that in as well. Do
you need someone to stay, Gomma? I might be able to.
Is that May?
End of April.
End of April. That's right. Yeah.
That's a good segue.
It's Anzac weekend, actually, so it's a long weekend.
Well, I don't want to totally screw Hohen up. Were you finished with that? So
mate. I've talked at length about mine.
Okay. Yeah.
That should be a good one. Drunkhammer. It sounds like it should be joining your little vineyard one.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It's going to be like Castle Salt, Queensland. He's even stolen the Kimoma.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, he's chatting about that, isn't he? Yeah, maybe we could just like send it up there, and it can be there, and then it can come back here and just be, just share it around Australia.
Yeah,
we get real festy then.
I think Goody should be able to make that like our Castle Assault, I reckon.
Yeah,
I reckon he'll easily get 40 players.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
I think he's at double figures already. I was actually speaking to Kendall the other day, and apparently Steve Gibbs passed the Kimoma, and so it's up to Paddy now to decide if Paddy wants it. And if Paddy passes,
it goes to you again. You'd be like Simon Turner. I think he doubled it one year after another, and I don't know.
Yeah, I couldn't do it back to back, unfortunately, with the like 16 or whatever points that I had on day one. That was
you were you were.
That was Yeah, I remember just yelling countercharge at like the top of my lungs every time I countercharged in my I think it was a grand total of 3 times in game 2. That was
has ruined many a weekend, I think.
Yeah.
By ruined, I mean made amazing.
So I think we've got like. There's so many events. Like if you look at Queensland, so we've got Forcehammer in a couple of weeks' time. I'm going to that. Then we've got Full Con in Toowoomba. I'm also going to Drunkhammer. So they're both April, both 2 days. I'm going to both of those at this stage. And Stark, I think, because it's my birthday weekend, the 28th of June, so I should be able to come up to the one day.
Cool.
So yeah, I'm trying to get out to a few. But yeah, I think that there's so many events on. It's awesome.
I might try to get I'm not doing any team tracking at the moment because it's a little bit. I don't know. I need to talk to you guys, or what do you guys think? I mean, this system could track team, but I guess you're not tracking individuals performances in a team for a Masters event. There's like that's the weird thing with this. But having said this system
they
here
did in the
should
UK.
probably.
They always did in the UK. They had team events, and they'd essentially give equal. If it was a 4-player event, they would give equal first to the 4 players that were in the winning team, and then they would give equal, essentially 5th to the players in the second place team. So if it was a 10-player. It was a 10-player for 4-person team, so you got 40 people. You essentially have equal first, equal 5th, equal 9th.
Oh, okay, right.
So that's what they traditionally do in the UK with their rankings. But there's also an argument that Team Warhammer, the individual, you certainly wouldn't sort it by like individual battle points for the weekend because it's not relevant.
No. Yeah. Well, technically, we don't do that anyway.
Taking hard matchups and stuff. So.
Yeah,
I think in a minimum, I should get the team tournament in here because right now, if you go to Victoria, you're not going to see Helen's tournament, so I need to sort that out.
Well, I haven't officially announced it now.
Well, true.
So.
We'll get there.
I reckon you could include team tournaments. It's more the doubles we said you couldn't, really. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yep.
I think definitely have them on there. I don't know about. It's an interesting one having. I think to point around having like. You're talking about a singles Masters and then having teams affect it. You might have someone that is super strong that carries a couple of players in the team's environment, or vice versa.
That can't happen.
If you're talking about rankings points being given to 2 players for a singles Masters ranking, but again, I think it's not my decision. I think that's a collective to vote on. Something that. Just segueing again, we probably want to put this out to a vote. I think the 3 of us have been chatting. We obviously need to talk to the rest of the committee and then take this out to the community. But we're suggesting that we run Masters on the 28th of July weekend. So I think is it 27th and 28th or 28th and 29th? Let me just confirm that.
Yeah.
I think it's the 28th.
Yeah. This was my fear with the having it the cut off in the middle of the year, but obviously this is what the community decided was that you've got the scheduling challenges, whereas if it's at the end of the year, people are winding down a little bit. You don't have them as much. But what we're looking at would be so the 26th and 27th. So 26th being the Saturday, 27th being the Sunday. So I think that's probably the date that we recommend that we do run it, being that it's a cut off on the 30th of June. So it gives 4 weeks from that cut-off date. Well, sorry, the cut-off would be effectively the 29th of June because the 28th is the Saturday. So we'd get invites out to the top 20 for their invitations. If they pass, then we obviously move it on to so and so and so. We would probably get the top 30 to vote on any of the intricacies, i.e., are we doing the army swap, all that kind of stuff? I think the big one, probably the bigger elephant in the room to discuss is who hosts the first one and what is the how does hosting work? Something that's been floated, and again, this is a vote for the community, I think, or maybe it's the top 30 that votes on this. But again, when does that top 30 vote? Because we need to really start picking a venue and probably deciding sooner rather than later. And so.
I think you just got to say it's going to be at this location for the first year, and it's good that everything's going to a vote. But I almost think sometimes management of the committee is too much. You've just got to be the master czar and say, hey, this year it's happening here. I'm going to run it, and I'm going to run it in a committee place for me, and everyone knows, everyone's on the same page. From my perspective, I think New South Wales or Canberra is a great place to run it because it's essentially in the middle. Because interestingly, you've got a pretty even spread of states. As much as the Vics haven't had that many events, we've got some people overperforming for the amount of events we've got.
And we will have this soon. This will actually show the state pretty soon. I thought I might have had it out by today, but it wasn't happening. So at least this way you'll be able to look at this and without having to know.
So I think that's the I've definitely if I just pulled the trigger and said, guys, we'll run it in Queensland, I've got Irresistible Force, we'd probably be able to do it at. But Sydney also makes sense. Again, I'm not too phased on where it's run. I think and then we just need to probably then put out some ideas on how it gets. Is it just that it switches each year, and it you just go around in a circle, and pray that you don't qualify when it's in WA. So that would be fun to be fair going over there. But yeah, so that's probably the next one. So we're thinking the 28th of that way. It's 4 weeks. It gives everyone time if they are going to book flights, get accommodation, get their list together, get them submitted, get them checked. Obviously, if anyone that is I guess TOing that qualifies, will find appropriate TOs or judges to run it. At the moment, if we look at we've got the top 20 here. So Paddy's maintained top spot, but it's James or is it Josh Golding?
James.
James.
Yeah, so James. Is it James from Vic?
Yeah, he's smashing it over here. I think he's won the last 2 events that he played in.
Yeah.
So he is in second. Jason Mulligan has jumped up into third with Chaos Dwarves, which is pretty cool. I don't know if he's run Chaos Dwarves for every event, but he's jumped up in third. We've got Ben Cray. Sorry, Jason. Where's Jason from? Does anyone know?
Well, he pops up. He must be New South Wales or Canberra because I see him in those tournaments. So I think I might be totally wrong there, but I'm pretty sure. I was saying Old Grudges. These are all Canberra, aren't they? I'm pretty sure. Hero Con, he's from Canberra probably. Or maybe he's from Orange and he comes in. I don't know. That's why I want the States. I think that's why Starkey was like, let's get the States.
Yeah.
Where they're from. Although I'm going to have to take a guess.
And you can also, so for anyone that's new to the rankings website, you can see these people are also best army for. It's got their army that they're ranked number 1 for. So if you look at Ben Cray, for example, Warriors of Chaos, where's Ben from?
Canberra,
cool. Then you got Simon Kwok next up in 5th, and you can see he's actually for both the Royal Host and Mortuary Cult Tomb King attachments.
That means their top 3 results are with those.
Yeah, I fixed that the other day. So basically, if you run, they're only showing the armies that you are qualified masters in.
Yeah, so that's not like you're not the best player in that faction.
No, it's further down.
Got you.
Yeah.
Then I got myself in at 6th, although I think I am best army on Empire. Then we got Chris Penmorden with Tomb Kings in at 7th.
Vic, isn't he?
He's Vic,
Yeah.
Mark Horitz, he's from New South Wales, Sydney. He's also interesting. He's one of there's a couple of guys there you'll see with no. It hasn't podium.
Yeah. That's good.
He's got some decent, I think, top 10 results in sort of 3. So CanCon, Moab. He didn't go to Castle Assault, I think maybe one other. Reese McGinn.
He was at Castle. He probably just didn't place.
Yeah,
for sure.
He came 4th.
Yeah.
And then 6th at Moab.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he got 4th.
Oh, there you go. So just behind, I didn't even realise.
Yeah.
I didn't meet him or speak. Well, maybe I spoke to him. I just don't remember it from day one. Then we've got Reese McGlynn. Is it? Yeah, McGlynn. Where's Reese? Does anyone know Reese?
Yeah, Reese is a Melbourne boy.
Melbourne. A lot of names in the top 10. Mark Ward's from Canberra.
Yes. Yeah.
And he ran CanCon.
No, I think he came 2nd or something, wasn't he? Because it was.
He didn't go there.
He's just doing well.
He went to Castle.
But he ran CanCon, didn't he? Wasn't he the TO?
No, he
ran.
didn't go there.
No, that was.
Oh, he ran it. Did you say?
He was helping out Ben, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Ben and Dave Cochran and probably him. There was a bunch of them, I think. Yeah. Actually, I wouldn't do. I mean, if people are listening and they have logged into here or they haven't or they know other people on this list who probably should, Mark is one of them, for example. I don't think he's ever come in here. And he actually had 2 accounts because of the way it pulls in new recruit and BCP. You can end up with 2 accounts. I picked him up, so I merged them. So that way he's in the top 10. If anyone knows, like it's especially people like who's obviously in the top 30, glance down there because if you do find people who you think, oh, hang on, shit, that's actually someone else, they need to be merged together. It pushes their points up. So the data's not 100%, is basically what I'm saying. So the more we look at it, the more we can find those little gremlins. Because Mark was like down the bottom somewhere, not down the bottom, but his results were split across 2 profiles basically,
profiles.
which wasn't good. Yeah.
So next up, we've got Ben Leaper. Where's Ben from?
Yeah. Well.
Ugh.
Maybe he's
Perth?
over in the Perth.
Yeah.
Because that's beyond Odyssey.
He used to be in the New South Wales scene back in 7th, I think. But yeah, I think
the name rings a bell. The name definitely rings a bell. Does anyone know Jason Robinson Kinson?
I don't.
Nope.
Same deal over WA.
WA. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we've got Dan Holland, Queenslander. Oh, sorry,
Miss Keith.
Yeah, Miss Keith.
Creaky Gamers.
Creaky
Yep.
Gamers.
Yep,
He's
going good.
Sydney?
Yes. Yep.
Looks like he just got his first medal last weekend or something.
Oh, he might have, because he might have played in that. Oh, no, that's that one. Okay. Yes, he did. 2nd of Feb.
He came second, yeah. Good on him.
There you go. That's cool.
And then we've got
Starkey.
So Dan Holland next up, Queensland.
You're down the bottom. Sorry, you're 20th.
Yes.
So yeah, Dan Holland, who he's got a couple of decent results recently, and probably I think there's a few people here. You probably look at the top 10 and you go, okay, there's a fair few of the top 10 that are almost locked in their spot, and barring some people below that get, they go and win let's say if Drunk Hammer ends up being a big event, and someone that's sitting in that sort of the next 20 under gets a podium, they may jump up. But there's not that many big like sort of scoring events left. I feel. So if you are wanting to qualify, I definitely would advise you to log in and register for some events.
It's interesting. I was sort of looking at the scores and those ones on that right hand side that the lowest score. There's a lot of people with a score in the 60s. They're still sitting on a score in the 60s. Even Mark Irwitz is sitting on a 48.
Yep.
So there's a lot of improvement that these players can still make. But it also means their scores as they aren't actually that high. Like you're looking at 230 out of 10th place is 217. So that's
I've got a 60. Yeah.
Yeah. So although someone in the chat saying that you've got 2 accounts, so
yeah, I just saw that. So we might have to go down.
What?
Maybe you're doing this. I don't know where that would have come from though.
I've only played in 4 events.
But yeah, it's interesting because you don't have anyone who's really up
right?
there in apart from Paddy with a 75 as her weakest score. There's certain improvements to be made.
I wonder if I've got.
I think it's Jimbo chatting. Is it? Who's entropy? Is that Jimbo?
Yeah, it's Jimbo Huge Cock.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's who's 141. He's just saying.
Classic Jimbo trick. Takes me back to the Warhammer AU days.
Warhammer AU. Definitely the most banned player in history of any form, I reckon, not just Warhammer AU. So next up, Gourley. Gourley is sitting in 15th. We've got Richard Hill. Gourley's from Sydney. Richard Hill, he's New South Wales.
Yeah, as well. Yeah, he's up. I don't know if he's up our way. Gourley's Central Coast, isn't he? Is he? I think.
I think he's back in Canberra now.
Oh, is he? Okay, he might be. Yeah, and Richard Hill's out Cessnock usually, or up our way somewhere. Like I don't know where he lives, but he's out. He's around my somewhere. So.
We got Matthew Kelly. Matthew Kelly. Is he one of the WA guys?
I don't know. Maybe. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good to see there's a couple of those guys in there. Then we've got Goody in at 18th, Queensland.
Yeah.
At least Well Fanatics, mate. They're represented.
Yeah, that's right. At least at the moment, till someone jumps up, till Goonie gets in there. Or something.
Yeah. Well, Goonie's going to have to come up to an interstate tournament. I think that the challenge for him. We were chatting about this, and I think it's a valid. I remember back when when I first started looking at the rankings, probably like 2007, 2008, and I was always sitting in that sort of 40, 50, getting a few podiums in South Australia, but not being able to because I was like 15 and I couldn't exactly convince my parents to let me go to CanCon or DogCon or whatever on my own. And so it was always, I had one year, I remember it was the last year of 7th edition. And I think back then it was your top 4 results. I got 3 first place and a 4th. And I think I finished 18th or 19th. and I did not go to a tournament outside of South Australia. Had I got first, I would have qualified. I think I would have
Because that was
qualified.
top 16 at the time, was it?
Yeah, so I think I would have qualified 14th. But yeah, unfortunately, so it can be very, very hard if you've got a state where there's only, they've been getting a lot of events in that sort of 10 to 16 player, and they've only had one or 2 days so far.
Look at Goonie down in 22nd. He's got 5 event wins and his best scores are 67.
Yeah.
That's curse of the one dayer.
Yeah, they're all just one dayers. Yeah,
So
But he's been smashing the barrels. Yeah.
Well, there is a 5 gamer, but
and so I think it's kind of then peaked. You kind of go, and I played Goonie. He beat me in game 5. He's a very, very good player. And you kind of look at that and go, he's a very good player. He's won 5. Like, does he deserve a spot to qualify? Right? Not saying that the ones above him don't deserve it, but I'm just more thinking, and this is probably out there for the community. I'm open we're all open to suggestions. I think on improvements that can be made, and like something I sort of thought about. I was like, okay, do we get TOs to put up their hand and go, I'd like to be nominated as the marquee event for our state, and you kind of go, this is almost
you bump that one up.
Almost you go, okay, Canberra, CanCon is the state champion or the territory championship of Canberra. You go that Uprising is the territory championship of South Australia. Axemaster or Arc, whatever it is in Victoria, same thing again. Full Con or Drunkhammer or your tournament, Starkey, one of those becomes the sort of state championship of that state. And then do you go, okay, every state and territory gets one golden ticket from one of those events. If you win that event, you automatically qualify. You could go to no other events for the year, and you no matter where you're ranked, you get an automatic invitation. It also means that you get to know that you've qualified, and ideally, Net Masters next year, I'd like to have the host state, everything booked 10 months in advance, so people can really go, I want to make Masters. I've already got that weekend booked. I'm now going to go and get myself qualified, right? So you get to find out in advance whenever that event's hosted. Let's say Castle Assault becomes it for, or Moab or Castle Assault would be an interesting one for New South Wales. But you go, okay, Castle Assault's in August. You found out you've qualified for Masters because it's got, or Moab if it ends up being in October. And you know that you're already booked, and you can go and book your accommodation, book your flight, do all that kind of stuff 9 months in advance. I think that's pretty cool. And it also then gives some of those guys that maybe, look at Gunay as an example. So that's one option. And then the rest of the 20 players is made up of the rankings from there. Obviously, if someone wins it, then it comes down to, okay, does it go to the person that came second in that event, or does it then go back to the rankings? So that's another thing that has, I think, be the decision that gets made. So, I think there's definitely some ways that can be improved or added to for next year.
And they used to do pretty much exactly what you described. There was marquee events throughout the calendar that got you that golden ticket. And it was good because it encourages raiding another state trying to take their ticket, right?
Exactly.
So, but I think what ended up stopping it ultimately was that all the people that won those events were qualifying for the Masters anyway. But that is probably when there's a more mature sort of scene, whereas nowadays, with a scene more in its infancy, that might work a bit better. And you could even do something like, this is the event, and while it wouldn't encourage the cross travel, you could say at this particular event, say Castle Assault. Castle Assault is the marquee event for New South Wales, and the top ranked person in the top person from New South Wales at that event gets a guaranteed ticket, because then you can kind of say it's per state. But I don't know if that probably needlessly complicates it.
Yeah, it was an interesting one.
Plus, people then move in a Masters year occasionally. It might start.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, and I was like, because I think the cross pollination and people wanting to travel, I reckon is better if you look at, if you can get all those big marquee events, especially there's no date confliction, and all of a sudden you get, an extra 30% players compared to what they had the year before. You look at Uprising, where I was on the weekend, there was 16. If that all of a sudden had a golden ticket, and you've got there's it's usually only the top sort of 40, 50 guys in the country really want to make Masters anyway. or that they're super serious about it and they really want to go. But if you get 10 or 15 of them that go, I'm going to Adelaide instead of going to CanCon, because one, there's going to be a whole bunch of really good players that go to CanCon because that's sort of the big, national marquee event. But I'm going to go to Adelaide instead. And all of a sudden you get some cross-pollination and you get people then starting to go to other events. So, yeah, I think that's definitely something to consider. But I think it's just pretty cool to see what we've got, nearly 500 ranked players nationally in the first 12 months of the game. That's probably exceeded the expectations that I was hoping for. I think it's pretty cool. Well done to everyone getting involved.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah, it's great.
Exciting. Who would run the first Masters then? Is that just the committee that's doing it, and then where it ends up would obviously help pull the weight? Is that how did it usually happen? Like the host city ran it, or like?
It changed a lot throughout. Certainly through 8th edition, it was always in Canberra. It was each year it would be at the shop in Canberra, the Good Games in Canberra, which you'd probably run it at Jolt nowadays. But prior to that, the Irresistible Force guys, who were the guys who set up the rankings at the start, Guns Galea and Slady and stuff, were running it, and they would tell it. And it rotated then. So I don't think I don't remember it ever running in Victoria, but it certainly, I attended a couple of New South Wales and one in Queensland. But then when they dropped it, it moved to just being a fixed Canberra event each year, which has its advantage because it just means you know what you're getting. You know the venue, you know where it's going to be, you know which weekend it's going to be, and you know that from 12 months out. And
it's in between as well.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
exactly. It's pretty affordable though, Canberra too these days, isn't it? Like as in,
the flights can be
getting. Can they? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, flights can be easy. But I think that for the guys in New South Wales and Victoria, it's easy to drive. But I think for South Australia, Queensland, Perth, Tassie, etc., it is a bit more of a challenge to do you're flying, and the flights can be a bit expensive and be some poor times. It's probably the only thing I would say with Canberra. But again, I think there's pros and cons to all options. Because you also don't want to get in a position where you're like, sweet, New South Wales gets it, and for whatever reason, there's only one person from Sydney that qualifies, and everyone ends up having to travel anyway. So it is a bit of. You also don't. I don't know if you want to necessarily go. Okay, it's the whatever. Maybe you go like 3 months out. Whoever's got the most players from their state in the top 50 gets the Masters that year. You could do it that way. That's another option. But
I think you have to really bite the bullet and just be like. Because that's unlikely. It's pretty unlikely that one state, particularly if you're basing it on the 3 main eastern coast states, it's pretty unlikely that one of those isn't going to have any representative. It could be that they choose to abstain from playing the Masters, but ultimately I think you lose out so much by not having a set venue in advance. I think that you just got to say it's here. This is what's happening. This is who's running it, and people just have to deal with that, frankly. The people who want to play the Masters and are keen enough to do it will do it wherever it is.
True. Yeah, it's fair. It's very fair. Does anyone have anything else we wanted to
go just through? It's the TOs who are the most important not to travel. Is he saying?
Yeah, make it convenient for the person.
Yeah, if the TO's running it. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Certainly.
I was just going to ask.
You forgot the King of the North there in 20th. You didn't put me in 20 there.
Yeah. We did get to you. Sorry, but yes, Daniel.
Sorry, and then we've also got Starkey, who's actually, but if it's interstate, are you going to be out? Is Shell going to let you go if it's interstate?
Oh, I'll see how I go. If I make it, I might be able to. Put it in the calendar. I've talked to her about it. So
it's basically like becoming an Olympian. I mean, it's pretty, it's lucrative.
You, me, Goody, and Dan Holland road tripping or flying together.
It might be that. Yeah. I want to try and do well in Goody's tournament, just so I have a decent 5-game tournament in there.
Are you going to full con?
Yes, I'm going to that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you got two days. That's. I think that's one thing that the Queenslanders probably do have. I don't know. I think there's one more 2-day and Vic is there, Nick, between now.
It'll be the first one we ever run.
Yeah,
Let alone one more. It'll be the only one.
Maybe
Yeah.
see
Well,
if you can
look
get,
at New South
you know,
Wales, nothing. Queensland, you've got 2.
Mm.
Yeah, it's they've got this one. Oh, world, yeah, Arc, yep. And then
yeah.
WA, no, yes, so Queensland, you've been running a bunch of them.
Snake eyes if it counts, but
Yeah.
Yeah, so you might see a few. So that was only 2 days, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's only,
that's interesting. So you might see a few more Queenslanders and Victorians jump up into and that also might, you know, if you are in one of those other states and you're in that sort of, you know, that between 20 and the top 10 or top 8, you might want to travel up to Queensland. Masters in Kingaroy. We could do that. That would actually be very fun. Whether Shell would let you do it.
Yeah, Jay.
One of the best gaming venues in the country. It is very good. Just have to go
I might just have to sweeten her with some of the profits going to jewellery or something, and she'd probably do it.
I've still got memories of blasting karaoke in the good games in Canberra at 2 in the morning on a Masters Saturday night. So I don't know if you want that crowd in your house.
Would you guys, ASB, you alluded to it in terms of format. Would you guys be pro the army swap round?
I like it from a tactical standpoint, but I take a lot of pride in my models, and I'm very, very. I would almost want to have a proxy army to give the person that got the. Like, I got a lot of medals, and if they knocked over and chipped, I would be, and it would be hard for me to not want to hate that person forever.
The kids aren't using these models yet. You can see my models all over the table over there. That's the kids playing with them. Yeah.
Feel bad for whoever Daddy paints his army and all the bloody raindrops have fallen off during the game.
Yeah.
Can you imagine, so I think so. I like army swap from the you know what it does from a. I can see both schools of thought, even from the tactical side. Some people go, well, like, you know, it like being able to just play with anything kind of is why. Well, I mean, I think when it was 6 games, they used to have 2 army swap rounds, one each day. So, but yeah, for me, it's more so about the models. I just don't know if and also I don't want to touch someone else's models, and if I accidentally knocked one of them over and broke them, I'm like, oh. But yeah, so it like I probably would vote against it, but I can understand why people vote for it.
It's definitely it was fun to listen to when you guys were, you know, like just from again back in the day.
Yeah,
listening.
It was an interesting one. I mean, it's a fair point that. ASB raises about the models. I think the good thing is everyone would know coming into it, and everyone's pretty respectful. For me, there's probably 2 other big downsides to it. The first one is like people are still new enough at this game, and the game is mechanically slow enough that people don't finish their games as it is with their own armies that they know well. We're not at the point where everyone just knows everybody's army. Even the top players don't know other people's special rules and mechanics that well. So you're inherently going to take more time, and with an event where people need to travel to it, you need to finish early on that second day. The second thing is I liked it conceptually from a tactical perspective. I think it's a really cool challenge, but it needs realistically everyone to take it seriously to ensure there's not a feels bad, because and this has happened. It happened to me, like full disclosure, it happened to me. There's one, like 15 of the lists were like proper hard tuned tournament lists that everyone was using, and then one guy just because he
got the dad.
He qualified, just fluke qualified, wasn't interested in particularly playing well, took an absolute dog shit army, and so the 2 players that randomly drew that, and I was sitting in 2nd or 3rd place when I drew into that army, and just got 20-0, and it was like, that's my weekend over.
That is.
It opens up to a feels bad moment, and people will rightfully say just play better, but it depends what you want to do with your event.
Like you've said, if it was a serious thing and everyone did it, they wouldn't have that problem as much. But yes, I see.
And I really enjoyed a lot of my army swap rounds, and playing with different lists and stuff was good fun. And for the most part, my army swap record was really strong. But I'm probably more often now, and I think what really kicks it for me is just the time factor.
Yeah, I the ninth age masters that I qualified for, I got army swapped, and the army that I had to play against the person whose army it was.
Yeah,
it was he was August, and he was like, okay, so this does that. I was like, okay, cool. And I'd lost my first game, and did I lose my? I think I drew my second game, lost my first game, and I was like, at this point, I'm drinking Glen Weston's free gin, and I don't actually care because I wasn't driving. I didn't care as much. So it was. But I heard of people like actually taking like dumb lists just to skew the army swap round and to fuck with people, like
absolutely, fucking sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like purposely taking 40 bat. I heard someone didn't like someone take 40 bat swarms or something in as their core.
I don't know if anyone ever quite did that, but and in theory, it self balances that if you're trying to win the event and you can hamper yourself with an army that maybe is really technical to play with, so that you've got the skills to play that army, but it might struggle for other people. And you're going to offload it for 2 games. The problem becomes if someone is just rocking up for shits and giggles, but I got to use my fucking meme list.
But that actually brings me on to the format that you suggested, because I think one thing I actually forgot to mention with Uprising is the players pack wasn't. And I talked to Theo about this. I got a bit confused, and I thought it was a 20-0 system from reading the players pack. It turns out it was actually win, loss, draw. So I didn't actually realise that until the end after my first game, which. If I'd known that, I probably would have
after your first game.
I probably would have sniped off some points, then just ran away and not engaged, just because of the table. But so it's kind of got me thinking win, loss, draw versus the traditional 20-0 system. I mean, that's the first time I've ever played with win, loss, draw. It seems to be becoming more popular. I know in the UK, in particular, almost all their events are win, loss, draw. I think both have pros and cons. I think the con with win, loss, draw, depending on what the secondary scores for that are, i.e. the tiebreakers, I think you can encourage very negative list styles where for example, I don't think the poison blocks in particular and that 160 skeleton with the chariot characters of Tomb Kings works very well in a 20-0 system, because people, if you get two players that don't engage, you don't score high enough, you don't win the event. Whereas I think in a win, loss, draw setting, that kind of list does really, really well, because people can't get points out of it. All it has to do is pick off a couple of points, it gets 5 wins, and it wins the event. So I think there's definitely that for win, loss, draw. I think the 20-0 system can also have some downsides. Not to pick on you, Starkey. You had a 3-game event, you won 2, you lost 1, but you won your games 20-0. Some people would go, okay, well, I don't know if there was a player that was undefeated or won 3 games. Some people go,
Dan won all 3, but he came third, I think. Yeah,
there you go. Castle Assault, I think I was the only player to not lose a game last year. I won 4, drew 1, but I think I was 7 points behind first, who I think he lost 1, and I think I beat Paddy, who came second. So there is the argument there of is it a true reflection? And I'm all ears when that with any kind of scoring around that to can we improve it? The other thing I probably don't like about win, loss, draw, and I prefer with a 20-0 system is how you've got the what's it called, so in a 20-0 system you can lose your first game and still win an event. In a win, loss, draw, depending on how the tie breaks work, you potentially, if you lose your first game, your event's over, and then you kind of go, do you then go, I'm just going to play for fun now, or stress test stuff? So I don't know if there's a right or wrong. I think
I mean, looking at the CanCon results, sorry, you've frozen up for me, Angus. I'm not sure if you're still talking.
Oh no, I'm there.
Looking at the chaos, looking at the CanCon results, James won it, and he won it by an absolute mile. Looking at his battle point score was
Yeah, he maxed out.
Yeah, bonus points was
Over
100.
100.
But he lost one of his games. He lost a game 14-6 to second place. And then you look at Jason Mulligan with his Chaos Dwarves, who finished 6th, I think. He didn't lose a game. He had one draw, but he went 14, 13, 11, 13, 10, and 13. So had a really strong weekend. He finished 26 points behind the leader. He was in 6th place compared to 1st. So whereas if it was a win-loss draw event, he would have won the event. He had 5.5 wins.
Yep.
So
yeah,
it's definitely an interesting take, and it certainly, and you know, as you say, like Jamie Payne came 4th at CanCon, 6 points in his first round. He played Chaos Dwarves round 1. In fact, I think he probably played Jason. Yeah, he did. He played Jason round 1, loses to Jason, but finishes above him, even though Jason went undefeated. So tough. You know, it's tough for the person who goes undefeated and gets those smaller wins, but. It does look like someone like Jay who just absolutely smashed 5 out of 6 people, and his loss was only a minor loss. Like he only lost 14-6, so it kind of rewards losing small in a 20-0 system versus you may as well in a win-loss draw. If you've lost by 100 points, you've lost by 2,000.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I'm just, as a traditionalist, prefer the 20-0, but I do prefer a 20-0 system with secondary objectives that are worth battle points. That's probably where, whether it's 3 or it's 5 or it's 4. That's if I was to pick one system that I would prefer to play in, and if I was a TO that I would run, I'm a big fan of a 20-0 system with either 5, 4, or 3 tournament points or battle points that are and you can. I like the way
or adjusting. Either way, it doesn't really matter. Or
I really liked Kendall's last year. And you've used yourself, Starkey, in almost all your events. Yeah. I reckon that's the best example I've ever seen. And there was 3 different objectives, and you had it where. They weren't where either you get it or your opponent gets it. You could actually both achieve some of them. Some of them can't. If you achieved it, it's impossible for your opponent to achieve it. It's one of them is like banners, but then it's also have a scoring unit in your opponent's deployment zone. You can both achieve that. So I think another complaint when it comes to the 20-0 system is that it becomes a hobby crushing where you go when you come up against a weaker person, you're like, I need to win this game 20-0 because I might come up against someone later and it might be a 10-10 or an 11-9. So I need to capitalize, and so people go in, and when they get someone that they identify that isn't as good as them or skilled as them, they do hobby crush. Maybe that turns that person off. So I also can see that perspective. And so when you've got
conversely, you're always live in a 20-0 system because even 3 or 4 points can really help you later on in the event. Whereas, and so you've got, even when you're getting your hobby crushed, you're still fighting for some points. Whereas if you're into a matchup that you just can't win, you almost may as well not play in a win-loss draw sometimes.
Yeah. I think it's definitely an interesting one. I think like I said, if it was my choice, I would only play in 20-0 scoring events. But I would like them to have a secondary objective. And I think the other thing with the secondary objective is, and again, I think Kendall's was a really good example of this, except for not putting a caveat that the Chaos Dragon didn't count as being able to score, but having almost using them as composition rather than actually having composition. So you can take whatever list you want. There's no, you can literally take whatever list you want to, but if you don't take certain things in your list, you more than likely will not be able to win the event because you cannot score the objective points. And so it creates you need to take an all-comers mixed arms, or not necessarily mixed arms, but it needs to be balanced as a list that if it doesn't skew in a certain way. So I think that's also an advantage of having those battle points associated to secondaries. So I really enjoyed that.
I've been enjoying it, so I keep running it. Yeah, I think Goody's going to run that at his tournament too, I'm pretty sure.
I think with the way that Old World is scored in terms of victory points being different to previous editions, where in previous editions it was, you got a unit down to half strength and you got 50% of the unit.
Yeah.
Now you get 25% if you get them below, get below 25%. 25%. So if they're at 25%, you get 0. So I think even that itself lends to objectives.
Yeah.
Coming and being able to really, I guess, shake it up and make it super interesting. So.
Yeah. Well, I guess, yeah, it's
What's your
still up
thoughts,
to all
Dylan?
the individual TOs, isn't it, at the moment?
Yeah, variety is a good
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
I think. Like, I probably prefer a 24, but I'd absolutely still play a win-loss draw, and you just approach it a little bit differently. And I would probably, if I'm playing 6 events a year, I'd probably happily play two. Two of them as win-loss draw quite happily. So I think variety is great.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a big fan of the secondaries, and that old Hammer one, it was interesting. It was a 17-3 score. Like, you couldn't get 0. So even if you got tabled and everything, you still got 3. So that was interesting. And then they added up to 3 or 4 battle points on top of that as well. So you could get some weird looking scores, but it wasn't too bad. I didn't mind it.
Yeah, I think it's a
continuing
trend anyway. Continuing trend anyway with the scenarios.
Yeah, I think that the annoying thing with scenarios in old world is... you're right. Got some bad delay.
What's that?
I don't know what's happening.
What's that, Angus?
I don't know if it was coming through or not. So do you remember in 9th age how it was like a swing? So like if you won the objective, you could swing it 6 points basically.
Yeah.
And so you would swing. So if you tied the objective, it would stay as a 17-3.
Yeah, so
let's say you were going down 17-3, but if you won the objective, it would swing to 14-6. And that can be quite cool, right? Because you dominate someone, but all of a sudden they have a cheeky player that wins the objective at the end, and all of a sudden it turns in, what game that you could have won 20-0 goes to 14-6.
Yeah, I've seen ones where they've started like the winner of the objective makes it 15-5, and then the points differential goes from that, and it's 5 points either side. So a draw is 10-10. So if you get a draw in the objective and you smash them, the best you can get is a 15-5. If you get a 15, if you win the objective but you get smashed, you might be down 4-1 on points. So your 15-5 might turn into a 14-6. But you're a 14-9 or something like that. But anyway, you're guaranteed that if you win the objective, even if you lose a lot of stuff doing it, you're still going to come out ahead.
It's good. Well, we've covered a lot.
We have.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining, Colin.
What was that?
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Nick.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
I always love chatting shop. So.
A lot of Australian podcasts come out in the next couple of days by the sound of it. It's funny.
It's good if you're doing hobby.
Yeah, that's right. Keep painting. Oh, well, do you want to wrap it up, ASB, then? Unless anyone's got anything else.
Yeah, I think we can say goodbye from myself, ASB, Star, and our special guest, Holland.
We'll see what we'll try catch up next month again, and there'll be a couple of tournaments to cover probably. So should be good.
It will.
Oh, send us your what's it called, your nominations. We'll get that in tomorrow if people are going to nominate themselves. But it sounds like we're running out of time for that anyway. But yeah, should be good.
Yeah, if
we'll
anyone
report
does
on
want to
the result of that, I guess. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll close it out. We'll see you next month, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.